Now, Miami was defeated by Michigan State 38-17. Now, I was not surprised with the outcome of this game. I saw this coming dating all the way back to last week. I said that Michigan State was probably going to have a really good day on the ground and that head coach Mel Tucker probably was going to have his team more prepared than Manny Diaz, and I was right about all three of those things. Michigan State won. Mel Tucker's team was more prepared. And on top of that, Michigan State had a really good day on the ground. The Miami Hurricanes defense allowed 193 rushing yards. And with that loss, a lot of the Hurricanes fan base was really mad, really upset. And everybody has been calling for a Manny Diaz job. And I don't blame them. But I'm going to be real with you guys. I don't think Manny Diaz is going to get fired if he's able to lead this program to 7 wins or more this year. If Miami wins 7 or 8 games, I don't think Manny Diaz is going to go anywhere. And I'm not a Manny Diaz defender like a lot of you guys try to make me out to be. I'm just somebody who looks at this team and the state of this program from an unbiased standpoint, okay? Even though I am a diehard Hurricanes fan till I die, I always try to look at situations realistically. And being realistic, if Manny Diaz can win 7 or 8 games this year, I think he's going to keep his job, because a lot of you guys have to understand, your expectations are way different from, the AD's expectations for this team. A lot of you guys feel like it's ACC championship or Manny Diaz gets fired, but the AD for Miami probably feels a lot differently, okay? He's probably content with winning 7 or 8 games. So you got to remember, this is the same, AD that didn't want to get rid of Mark Richt. Mark Richt had to step down. Now, there's different stories about what went on. A lot of people say Mark Richt was forced to step down, but we really don't know what really went down with the situation because we weren't there, so we can just speculate, and I don't really want to speculate too much into the situation, but we're just being honest. If the Hurricanes win 7 or 8 games, I doubt that Manny Diaz is going anywhere, okay? Now, if you guys were the athletic director, you guys probably will get rid of Manny Diaz. As a matter of fact, Manny Diaz probably will be gone at this moment. But if we're being honest, I doubt that Manny Diaz goes anywhere if Miami's able to win 7 or 8 games. Now, 6 games, okay, then we have a legitimate conversation that can actually be made. But I really feel like at this point, unless, things really hit the fan and things turn out really bad, and Miami wins, 6 games or less, then I think that, that's a legitimate chance that Manny Diaz can get fired. But being realistic, I don't think Manny Diaz is going to go anywhere. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't fire Manny Diaz. All I'm saying is, based on what this program has done in the past, I think the athletic director won't fire Manny Diaz if he can lead this team to 7 or 8 wins this year. But if Manny Diaz does, end up being placed on the hot seat like he currently is right now, according to the fan base, okay, what's next for him? Well, what's next for him is simply play the rest of the season, okay? You have a cakewalk game, or should at least be a cakewalk game. Then you enter conference play against Virginia. Then you have to play UNC. And a lot of people are trying to define Manny Diaz and this Hurricanes team based on what they do in conference play. And a lot of people have said, we're not judging Manny Diaz based on his out-of-conference performance. We're basing him based on what he's able to do against the rest of the ACC. Now, I can understand that logic, but at the same time, I used to be one of those thinkers, but my thinking kind of changed last week before they played Michigan State, because Michigan State is a program that's on the come up. Mel Tucker has that program heading in the right direction, and their turnaround hasn't really taken all that long. Meanwhile, for Miami, we have to wait, 3, 4, damn near a decade for us to finally start, being relevant again in college football, So I really felt like last week was a game that Manny Diaz kind of needed to win to kind of, show that the program still is trending forward in a good direction, and Things didn't really go that way. So now, you have a cakewalk game, which you should go 2-2. Then you're going to enter in conference play, which is very important because now this is the meat and potatoes of what's ultimately going to make or break this team and what's going to make or break Manny Diaz, okay? Because Virginia is a very tough game. They're a very solid team, and they're really well coached. Then you have UNC. That's pretty much the game of the year for the ACC Coastal. That's a game that a lot of people feel like is going to decide who's going to end up winning the conference and most likely facing Clemson in this year's ACC Conference Championship game. So that is a really big game that the Miami Hurricanes and Manny Diaz must win, because imagine what's going to happen if Manny Diaz ends up losing to Virginia and then loses to UNC. Things are going to look really ugly. But let's throw out some hypotheticals, okay? So let's say things really do hit the fan and Manny Diaz gets fired, okay? Who are you going to bring in to replace him? I keep seeing a lot of people say Mario Cristobal. Please, get it out your damn head that Mario Cristobal is ever going to come to Miami. He's never leaving Oregon. A lot of people try to use the whole checkbook argument. Miami does not have enough money to get into a bidding war with Oregon. Do you know who ends up supplying Oregon for their uniforms and their athletic facility? He's one of the richest men in the world who, happens to be a very notable alumni for Oregon. So I promise you that anything Miami can offer Oregon can match it and then some, okay? So I really extremely doubt that Mario Cristobal is going to leave a program that is essentially a national championship contender and downgrade to Miami. There's really no benefits from Mario Cristobal leaving Oregon at all, so I don't really understand why so many people think that's a realistic possibility, okay? I know a lot of you guys can be like, damn, JT, we can't dream. I mean, you can dream, but you have to be tapped in with reality, people. And the reality of the situation is, I doubt that Miami's going to be able to get Mario Cristobal. I also strongly doubt that Miami could get a Luke Fickell from Cincinnati, because first of all, Cincinnati right now is a better program than Miami. On top of that, you look at the fact that they're going to be joining the Big 12 Conference. That's going to be an added bonus. So I extremely doubt that Luke Fickell is going to leave Cincinnati and come to Miami. So let's talk about some realistic head coaching candidates who could possibly replace Manny Diaz as head coach if he gets fired. I really like Bob Stoops a lot. If you're able to get him out of retirement, a lot of people are also going to say Chris Peterson. Remember him? He was really good when he was a head coach of Boise State when they had Kellen Moore. He was really good during his time in Washington. Okay, but if you can't get any of those guys out of retirement, who's next on the list? Well, you have Billy Napier for Louisiana, who is a really good G5 coach. But if you don't want to take the G5 route, okay, then maybe you can look at a Marcus Freeman, who currently is the defensive coordinator for Notre Dame. He is not only a really good D coordinator, even though Notre Dame's defense has kind of struggled over the last couple of weeks. He's really good on that side of the football. He's a really great recruiter. You also have the head coach at UAB. And for a lot of people who don't know who the head coach UAB is, he was the same guy. Remember when the UAB football program ended up getting, disbanded, and then they ended up coming back? Well, he's had a lot of success at UAB, and if he can have success at UAB with the state of that program was in, I'm pretty sure he can win at Miami. Then a guy who I really like a lot, who I want to see personally come to Miami, would be the current head coach of Liberty, Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze won at Ole Miss before. He had a lot of success against Nick Saban in Alabama. And, there was a lot of things that went off that program. It wasn't, the best ran program when it came to an integrity standpoint. But if he can come back and learn from those lessons, I think he would be a phenomenal fit in Miami. I also think Rex Ryan possibly could be a solid candidate because I kind of like his personality. I think his personality will fit really well in Miami. But, we're just throwing out hypotheticals. I honestly feel like Manny Diaz is going to be able to get this team to 7-8 wins, and I think he keeps his job because I honestly think that AD, his expectations aren't really all that high for the football program, and neither are mine. It's like I really expected this Hurricanes team to win 9 to 10 games this year, and that wasn't me having unrealistic expectations. That was just me looking at the team, and I still feel like this is the most talented team that Miami has put on the field in a very long time. You have a lot of veterans on the back end of the defense. There's a lot of talent on the offense. This is the most talented Hurricanes team that we've had in a while, and it hasn't performed like that. And the reason for that is because of coaching. So for me, I doubt that Manny Diaz is going to go anywhere. I honestly feel like he's going to be able to win 7-8 games and be able to keep his job. And I know that's something a lot of you Hurricanes fans don't want to hear, but a lot of you guys keep telling me if he doesn't win the Coastal, he's gone. Like that's what you would do. A lot of you guys, I don't really think a lot of you guys are really thinking realistically, okay? Like it's easy to say what you would do if you was in the 80s shoes and whatnot, but all we can really do is speculate. But if we're really being realistic with this process here, I really think that Manny Diaz would keep his job if he's able to win 7-8 games this year, which I believe that he can. So that's just my thoughts on Manny Diaz's future with Miami. I don't really think he's going anywhere. I think he's going to be able to pull off some wins here, get Miami into a respectable bowl game, and then we'll see what happens next year. But I honestly feel like this program right now is a program that's around 8 wins, and a lot of people probably going to disagree with me, but that's honestly how I feel about it. Of course, this year I feel like Miami should be able to rise above it because every head coach over the last couple of years that has been at Miami has peaked going into year 3, and so far Manny Diaz has got worse going into year 3, so that's definitely a big no there. And on top of that, this team doesn't really look all that prepared. Like, I understand what everybody's saying, but at the same time, I'm still being realistic, and I'm not trying to temper what my expectations are based on what possibly will happen in real life. A lot of people keep saying it's Coastal or Manny Diaz gets fired. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that Manny Diaz, if he's able to win 7-8 games, he's going to remain the head coach in Miami. And on top of that, Miami, I don't really think they're going to put out the proper money to go ahead and get one of these big name coaches. Even if Lou Fickell was on the market, would they be willing to make him one of the highest paid coaches in college football? I doubt it. You get what I'm saying? So for Miami, how committed are they to this football program? That's the question I want to know, because I know a couple of friends that actually have visited Miami, and they visited UCF, and they told me that UCF has better athletic facilities than Miami does. And that's not the first time I heard that. So, everybody has their opinion about this Manny Diaz situation. I'm not really giving you guys my opinion. I'm just giving you guys how I really feel about this situation from a realistic, unbiased standpoint. I don't think Manny's going to go anywhere because I think that he's going to be able to at least pull 7-8 wins. And, 7-8 wins, a lot of Miami Hurricanes fans going to look at that as a disappointment, which, 7-8 wins this year definitely is a giant disappointment. But where the state of this program is, I kind of think that this is a program that's 7-8 wins consistently. Every once in a while you may have a season when you win 9, 10 games, make it to a New Year's Six bowl game. But I keep telling this to a lot of Miami Hurricanes fans. This isn't 2002. This isn't the 80s. This isn't the 90s. You guys can lecture me about, how much the U used to mean, having the U on the side of your helmet and things like that. You guys can preach to me all you want to, but at the end of the day, you have to be tapped in with reality. And reality is that Miami is like a 8-7 win program. Even though I do feel like this team should do way better than that this season, simply for the fact that when you look at the vets and the talent on this roster, and even then we have veterans on the team and they don't even play like veterans. You still have players blowing coverages, missing tackles. Like, this team doesn't really look all that well coached, but realistically, I doubt we see Manny Diaz go anywhere for the time being.